There's a Rolex Submariner on a shelf in a boutique right now. $14,000. Ceramic bezel, in-house movement, 300 meters of water resistance. Impressive, absolutely. You'd expect nothing less from the most famous name in watches. And sitting in a display case across town, there's a watch with a ceramic bezel, a Swiss automatic movement, 300 meters of water resistance, and a finishing quality that has reviewers comparing it to timepieces double its price. That one costs under $1,000. What nobody knew until recently is that the gap between affordable and luxury watchmaking has been shrinking for years, and in 2025, it has nearly collapsed. This isn't a video about cheap watches that look expensive. You've seen that video 100 times. This is about 5 watches under $1,000 that genuinely deliver the components, the finishing, or the heritage you'd expect at 2 to 3 times the price. And each one punches above for a different specific reason. Number 5. The Citizen Tsuyosa. When Citizen released the Tsuyosa in 2022, most people dismissed it as another fashion-forward automatic trying to ride the integrated bracelet trend. That read was wrong. The Tsuyosa NJ0150 comes in at around $350, give or take depending on the colorway, and for that money, you get a 40mm stainless steel case with an integrated bracelet that flows seamlessly into the lugs. That alone would be noteworthy. But then you flip it over and find a Citizen Caliber 8210 automatic movement behind an exhibition caseback. You look at the crystal and discover it's sapphire with anti-reflective coating. And here's the detail that separates the Tsuyosa from every other watch at its price. The butterfly clasp with micro adjustment. That's a feature you normally don't see until you're spending well north of $1,000. The sunray dial catches light beautifully, the proportions are bang on, and the 4 o'clock crown position keeps the case profile clean. Citizen essentially took the design language of their high-end Caliber 0200 and filtered it down into an everyday automatic. For $350, that's not a bargain. That's a borderline pricing error. Number 4. The Seiko Presage Cocktail Time. The SRPB43. If you've spent any time around watch forums, you already know this one by reputation. The Cocktail Time nickname exists for a reason. That ice blue textured dial is the kind of thing that stops people mid-sentence when they catch it in the right light. Silver with a blue sheen that shifts depending on the angle, layered with a depth that you'd normally associate with grand complications from Switzerland. The whole point of the Cocktail Time is the dial. And the thing is, Seiko didn't just get lucky with a pretty color. They engineered this texture using techniques borrowed from their higher-end Presage and Grand Seiko lines, traditions that go back decades in their Japanese dial manufacturing. At 40.5mm with a polished case and a leather strap, the SRPB43 is a dress watch, no pretending otherwise. The 4R35 movement inside offers hand winding, hacking, and about 41 hours of power reserve, which is perfectly adequate. That's not the reason to buy it. You buy this watch because the dial work alone would cost you $2,000 from a Swiss brand, and Seiko is handing it to you for around $400. Number 3. The Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. This is where heritage stops being a marketing word and starts being the actual product. Hamilton supplied military watches to American forces during the Second World War. The GG-W-113 specification became legendary among soldiers who needed a timepiece that was legible, accurate, and nearly indestructible. The modern Khaki Field Mechanical 38mm is a direct descendant of that watch. Not inspired by, descended from. The case is 38mm with a slim 9.5mm profile, entirely matte finished stainless steel. No polished accents, no decorative flourishes. Everything about this watch says function. Under the sapphire crystal sits a hand-wound H50 movement, which is a modified ETA 2801-2 with one extremely important upgrade, an 80-hour power reserve. That's 3 full days from a single winding session. At this price point, roughly $500 to $625 depending on the strap or bracelet, there is no other Swiss hand-wound watch offering that kind of reserve. The double-hour track on the dial with both 12 and 24-hour scales, the cream-toned indices recalling old tritium loom, the NATO strap. None of this is decoration. It's function, with a story behind every decision. If you're getting value from this breakdown, hit subscribe. I cover watches like this every week, the kind where the engineering matters more than the marketing. Alright, so here's where things get interesting. Number 2. The Tissot PRX Powermatic 80. There's a reason this watch became the gateway drug for an entire generation of mechanical watch buyers. The PRX Powermatic 80 takes the integrated sports watch template, a design language pioneered by Audemars Piguet with the Royal Oak in 1972, and makes it accessible. Tissot had every right to do this because they actually produced their own version of this design back in 1978. This isn't homage, it's revival. The 40mm case sits flat on the wrist at under 11mm thick, with a waffle-textured dial that catches light from every angle. The integrated bracelet tapers from the case to the clasp, with a mix of brushed and polished finishing that reviewers consistently compare to watches 3 and 4 times its price. Now for the movement. The Powermatic 80 inside is a modified ETA 2824-2 with an 80-hour power reserve and a Nivacron anti-magnetic hairspring. That hairspring technology alone resists magnetic fields far better than traditional materials, which matters in a world where your phone, your laptop, and even your bag clasp are constantly generating magnetic interference. Sapphire crystal front and back, 100 meters of water resistance, and a street price hovering around $650 to $800. This is not a watch that punches slightly above. It's a watch that walked into the wrong weight class and started winning. Number 1. The Christopher Ward C60 Trident Pro 300. Christopher Ward is a British brand that sells direct-to-consumer and puts the savings into the watch itself. The C60 Trident Pro 300 is the clearest expression of that philosophy. Starting around $850 on a rubber strap and just over $1,000 on their excellent Bader bracelet, this is a proper 300-meter dive watch with a ceramic bezel insert, a Sellita SW201 automatic movement, and Christopher Ward's signature light catcher case design. That case uses multi-angle facets to create sharp visual transitions between brushed and polished surfaces, a finishing technique you typically see on watches from Omega and Tudor at twice or 3 times this price. The flat sapphire crystal has anti-reflective coating on the inner surface. The unidirectional bezel clicks with the kind of precision that makes you rotate it just for the satisfaction. And the lume is genuinely excellent, with super luminova applied to oversized indices and the arrowhead seconds hand. Available in 38, 40, and 42mm case sizes, the Trident Pro covers nearly every wrist. The materials list alone reads like a specification sheet for a $2,000 diver. 316L stainless steel, grade X1 lume, ceramic bezel, sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, and 300 meters of water resistance, for under $1,000. So here's the thing people get wrong when they start buying watches. They assume the price tag is paying for what's inside the case, and sometimes it is. But often, a huge percentage of that price is paying for the name on the dial, the boutique rent, the celebrity endorsement, the sponsorship of a sailing regatta you'll never attend. Every single watch on this list flips that equation. The Tsuyosa gives you sapphire and micro-adjust at a price that barely covers a nice dinner. The Cocktail Time gives you dial finishing that rivals watches 10 times its cost. The Khaki Field gives you real military DNA and an 80-hour movement for what some brands charge for a quartz fashion piece. The PRX gives you integrated sports watch design with a Swiss automatic heart, and the Trident Pro gives you ceramic, sapphire, and 300 meters of capability for less than the service cost on some luxury divers. The question isn't whether these watches are good enough. The question is what exactly you're paying for when you spend more. YouTube thinks you'd enjoy this video next. Click it. And if you made it to the end, subscribe.